Would you like to work at a religious institution in the US? The USA R1 visa actually helps you achieve this wish of yours. The R1 visa allows you to work for a non-profit religious organization that belongs to any religious denomination in the US. By term religious denomination, I mean a religious community that runs through an religious body. Religious institutions that include group financial tax exemptions can also employ foreign religious workers. Hi, this is Max from the Visa Library. In this video, I will give you information about the USA R1 visa, including requirements, the visa extension, procedures, and how to get a green card under the R1 visa. Okay, no time to waste. Subscribe to our channel to support us and get a surprise at the end of this video. Well, let's go. What is a US R1 visa? This visa is for foreign religious workers, but not all of them. Administrative and clerical employees are regarded as support staff and cannot apply for an R1 visa. Only people directly involved in the religious affairs, such as ministers, they can apply for an R1 visa. This visa has many benefits. You can live and work in the United States, receive a driver's license, open a bank account, participate in studying programs, travel in and out of the US, and travel to other countries to do your working tasks. There is no annual caps for the issuance of this visa. This means that if you can meet all the requirements to obtain an R1 visa, you can apply and get your R1 visa right away. Now, one question. What are the religious worker visa or R1 visa conditions? Let me tell you this right off the bat. The religious visa requirements can change for each employee. Why? Because there are different religions in the world and not all are known and registered in the United States. So it is quite evident that the requirements for an R1 visa are a bit complicated. You, as an applicant of R1 visa, must have been a part of a religious community for at least the last 2 years. Your religion must have a non-profit organization in the United States. You need to find a job at a non-profit religious organization. Your job position should be directly related to your religious duties. You must work part-time in a religious organization for at least 20 hours per week, and you cannot do any work other than religious duties. Your religious occupations must be related to a traditional religious function. They also must be considered as a religious job and directly involved in the religious creed and denomination beliefs. A religious organization must also have some characteristics. Number one, a non-profit religious organization must have its own internal revenue service letter of 501c3. Number two, a non-profit religious organization must have a group tax exemption. Number three, a non-profit organization must be affiliated with a religion and be given tax exemptions under Section 501c3 rules or other internal revenue codes as a non-religious organization. Now, the characteristics of a religious denomination. Number one, there is a common belief among denomination members. Number two, the way of worship is similar between them. Number three, there are common religious services and ceremonies between them. Number four, they have common places for religious worship or religious congregations. Number five, there is a formal code of doctrinate and discipline. Number six, they have religious organizations. Let's look at the religious worker visa or R1 visa application process. First, an employer must submit forms and documents to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services or USCIS. If this organization approves the materials, the applicant can initiate the visa application process. First, let's talk about the steps that are taken by the employer. The employer must first submit the form I-129 to the USCIS and pay $460 as the cost of this petition. In addition, the employer must submit some documents to prove that their application is eligible. Number one of those documents, let's see. Number one, if the organization is known as IRS 501c3, it must submit a letter confirming this tax exemption. Be careful. Number two, if the organization has a group tax exemption, it must provide a letter from the IRS to prove this. Number three, if the organization is religiously affiliated but not recognized as a religious organization, it must provide an IRS letter to prove tax exemptions, evidence of religious affiliation, materials that explain religious goals and descriptions of duties, and a letter from a religious organization to prove that this organization has religious affiliations. Number four, the organization must prove that a religious worker's welfare and wage status are based on the labor rules. To do this, they must prove that a religious worker's wages are the same as those who work in the similar conditions. They also must provide worker accommodation and budget documents that show projected payments for salaries. After the organization submits the documents and forms, it must wait for a while for the USCIS to process the documents. The USCIS may ask for additional documents. If the USCIS approves the petition, Form I-797C, Notice of Action, will be issued to the organization and the applicant. The applicant can then begin the R1 visa application process in their home country. Now, let's talk about the religious workers' steps. Step 1. Fill in the Form DS-160. This form is available online and contains questions about your personal information and the purpose of your trip to the United States. It is the R1 visa application form you need to complete. After completing and submitting the Form DS-160, a confirmation page will be sent to you, which you should keep because you will need it in the next steps. Step 2. Pay the visa application fee. It costs $190. Remember to keep the payment receipt because you will have to provide it as a part of your documents in the next steps. In some cases, you need to pay for visa issuance, which its amount varies from country to country. Step 3. Schedule the visa interview. All applicants for non-immigrant visas must attend the visa interview. The interview will take place at a U.S. embassy. After setting up the interview, you will receive a confirmation that contains information about the day of the interview. Step 4. Prepare your documents. You must gather some documents such as a valid passport, a photo, DS-160 form confirmation page, receipts of payments, interview confirmation letter, Form I-797, evidence of your involvement in a religious community for the past 2 years, your contract with a U.S. employer, and financial evidence or proof that your employer will pay for your expenses in the United States. Step 5. Participate in the interview. On the interview day, the consular officer will ask questions about your background, your education, and the reason for traveling to the United States. You have to ensure the consular officer that you will have a job and income in the United States. One question: how long does it take to issue an R1 religious worker visa? The average R1 visa processing time is about 6 months, as the USCIS needs time to visit the premises of the organization and then respond to whether they issue the religious worker visa or not. It could take another 2 or 3 months for the USCIS to work on the visa application and issue the visa. Overall, you might have to wait for up to 9 months to receive your visa. But you can take advantage of the premium processing service. It costs about $1,225 and you will receive a response sooner, in about 2 weeks. Well, that's great. You can use the R1 visa premium processing service if you pay the fee, only in that case. Ask the US Immigration Service if they provide the service in your home country or not. Well, another question, how long is a religious visa or R1 visa valid? The initial validity of this visa is 30 months. During this period, the visa holder can live and work in the United States. The holder can also renew the visa. USCIS will extend the R1 visa for another 30 months. You would better apply as early as possible to extend your religious worker visa. The point to remember is that the overall validity of the R1 visa is 5 years, and you cannot stay in the US under the religious worker visa for longer than 60 months. At the end of this period, visa holders must either return to their home country or apply for a permanent residence. One more question. Can R2 visa holders bring their family members to the United States? Yes, spouses and unmarried children under the age of 21 can come to the United States as dependents on an R2 visa. The dependents can apply for their visa at the same time or sometimes after the R1 visa applicants. R2 visa applicants must provide a birth certificate and marriage certificate to determine their relationship with the primary visa holder. Another question, can you change the R1 visa to a green card? Yes, you can convert a religious worker visa or R1 visa to a green card. There are different ways. Number one, getting married to an American citizen. Number two, by changing the status of R1 visa to EB4 green card. The processing time of an R1 visa to a green card is up to the way you apply for the green card. The USCIS indicates that the standard processing time is about 90 days, but you might have to wait a bit longer because the processing time could change in each case. Well, there you have it. Now you can go and start your US R1 visa application after you subscribe to our channel and like the video. Now, about that surprise I mentioned, I have put the link of our article in the description. You can go to our website and download the free cheat sheet I have prepared for you. Thank you all for watching.